Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to our Asia Pacific Women's Empowerment Principles, or WEPs 101 webinar. I'll continue to let people in as they come, and we'll see that we can get rid of that pinging sound as soon as possible. But we do have a quite packed schedule for you today, so I'll go ahead and get us started. Great, we have colleagues from Myanmar joining us, Kazakhstan, Malaysia. Lovely. I love to see this. Okay, a few housekeeping rules. We are recording the session. It'll be uploaded online for all of you, and we will share all of the slides. You can use the chat to introduce yourself and also use the Q&A function or type these in the chat as well if you'd like. I'll deliver a few open remarks. I will explain who I am. We'll give you a bit of an overview of the WEPs, as we call them, and by the end of the day, I think you'll be dreaming of WEPs. We'll give you an overview of some resources and tools we have. We have 3 awesome WEP signatories joining us from across South Asia and Southeast Asia to share their experiences. Great, we have Papua New Guinea as well, and India. We'll do a little bit of Q&A, and then we'll just have a final closing remark. We'll capture all of your questions in the chat if there's anything we can't answer live, and try and be in touch with you again. So I'm going to be speaking a little bit today, opening and closing. My name's Amy. I'm with our UN Women Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific, and I lead a lot of our private sector work, and I'm the kind of main Asia Pacific WEPs focal point. So the WEP Secretariat operates at our HQ, and then I kind of lead the coordination for regional efforts. Yuma, my colleague Satria Yuma, will be leading our panel and explaining some of the WEPs from our Indonesia office. And we also have Emma Soderqvist, who's a junior officer in women's economic empowerment with our regional office. Okay, so opening remarks, I'm actually not going to spend that much time delivering formal remarks. I just want to say thank you so much for joining today, and also apologies again for the pinging sound. We are new to Teams webinars, so bear with us through the technology. But hopefully you can hear us all clearly. Sharing all the slides in the presentation later. We do run these webinars as an introduction to what are the WEPs and how can they support private sector entities. But if you're already a signatory, you're not a signatory, this can still be relevant from you into how we bring together the ecosystem and guide more business practices and policies to foster gender equality. So before we kind of share with all of you, I know some of you have been inputting to the chat, but I want to ask a few of you who you are and see who's joining us. So I'm going to launch a poll right now, and you should see just a few questions. It's loading. Okay. So you should see the first question. What country are you joining us from today? We've seen some in the chat, but it's always interesting for us to see who we have in the room. Okay, let me go to the next question so that we can share the results, but I think everyone should be able to input. Okay, the second question is, what type of organization are you joining us from today? The WEPs is a framework for private sector, as you'll learn, but we actually work all the way across the ecosystem, and WEPs has a really broad scope. And then the final question is just, how familiar are you with the WEPs, right? Maybe you're saying, what are these? I don't know why I'm here. Maybe you're very familiar like us and you think about them all the time, but curious to hear. Okay, we should be able to see the results. So we've got a couple from Malaysia, India, Indonesia, Sri Lanka is great, Bhutan, Cambodia, Nepal, Philippines, great. We've got a good mix. And I see from type of organization, okay, the majority are nonprofits, large national companies, someone else from Big Four consulting firms, quite a bit of other. I see some people typing in the chat, which is great. It's always really great to see a diverse audience joining us. Okay, and we've got a pretty even split. Some are not familiar at all, some know a little bit, some know a lot. But this is really great. Okay, and thanks for sharing in the chat as well. It's interesting. So UN Women in Asia Pacific, we cover more than 20 countries. I'm not going to go into detail with this map, but our regional hub kind of operates in Bangkok in Thailand, and we do have active programming in the Pacific, in East Asia and China, Japan, Korea, also in Southeast Asia and South Asia, and we cover Afghanistan and Pakistan. We don't cover Kazakhstan or some of the other stands, but this webinar can still be applicable for you because WEPs is a global framework that UN Women uses. Okay, before we go on with the webinar, this is not to explain all of these timelines in detail to you, but just so you know, at the regional level in Asia Pacific, we've been working since about 2019 on our private sector programming. And we've been using the WEPs that you'll learn more about in detail for a range of activities, looking at sharing best practices through the WEPs Awards. I'll share a bit about that later, but also leveraging the WEPs to look at policy revisions or policy recommendations. We've developed a reporting and accountability framework for companies to measure and track their progress. We've also applied the WEPs to SMEs. Some of you may be joining us today and think, I can't implement all these 7 principles. Let me tell you, no one does all at the same time. And we do have specific toolkits as well to help SMEs implement the WEPs. One of the things we did as we came to 2024 is also saw that we needed to infuse some innovation in a lot of our WEPs work and really help support companies with deeper action. So in 2024, we launched a new program that we run at the regional level called the Gender Action Lab, Innovation and Impact for Gender Equality in the Asia Pacific. And we say powered by the WEPs because it's really an innovation platform to help us use the WEPs framework. We work with regulators, stock exchanges, SMEs, corporates, also government ministries to help them take gender equality, innovation, and a private sector lens to really get accelerated impact. So we really wanted to use the innovation techniques of the private sector and add innovation into the private sector. And we're also taking a really strong diversity and inclusion approach in everything that we do. We are called UN Women, but we do also take an approach of gender equality, disability, and social inclusion, or that GEDSI lens. GAL operates in some specific countries right now and also across the region in different modalities that I'll share a little bit about later. But it is our program helping to foster innovation and deeper action in the WEPs. I'm going to stop there so we save time for introducing what the WEPs are and hearing from our speakers. But I'll see you again at the end of the webinar, and I'll hand over now to my colleague Yuma.
Thank you, Amy, and hello, everyone. It's really exciting to have all of you today. As shared earlier by Amy, I'll be sharing a bit about WEPs, and it's interesting to see the diverse level of knowledge about WEPs. So I'll be quick skimming it for today, but if you have any questions moving forward, please do put it in chat or reach out to us. So WEPs itself stands as for Women Empowerment Principles. It is a set of principles that was launched in 2010 by UN Women and UN Global Compact. It offers guidance on how to advance gender equality and women's empowerment in businesses, and it is divided into 4 main pillars. The first one is leadership, which includes the first principle. The second one is workplace, which include pillar principle 2 to 4. And then the third one is marketplace for principle 5, and then community and reporting for pillar 6, for principle 6 and 7. And I invite you to see each principles a bit deeper. If you could go to the next slide, Amy. Thank you. So we start with the first one. When you hear about leadership, a lot of companies usually mistaken that the first commitment need to start with women leadership in the companies. It doesn't. So it doesn't start like that. We understand the challenges as well. the first principle actually start with the high-level corporate leadership commitment towards WEPs, towards gender equality, how they have clear commitment publicly, and also including signing WEPs, including having the target, including having the vision and goals on how to create a better workplace for women empowerment and gender equality. And moving to the next one. The next pillar is the second principle. We're coming now into the workplace aspect. So how we can treat all women and men fairly without discrimination. And this includes, for concrete example, it's like non-discrimination policy, equal pay and benefits, how we can make sure the recruitment process within our company are gender sensitive as well, and how it impacts the companies internally. And the next principle is still within the workplace aspects. This one is a bit more straightforward. I think if you're familiar with OHS or HSE, this is practically almost similar to that. But this specifically, what makes it a bit different is how we try to focus as well on violence and sexual harassment. So it also focuses on recently post-COVID as well on mental health, how we can make sure not only men and women, but people in general, the staff, especially those having care responsibility, usually they have more mental burden and how to balance between work and their personal life as well. Moving to the last part of the workplace, which is education and training for career advancement. This is focusing on how we can make sure as a company we're giving equal access to education and training programs for all of the staff. And the highlight here is equal access. A lot of companies, I believe all of you attending today already have programs, advancement training or talent programs within your company with open access to both men and women. But the question is, are the opportunity already equal? Are the we already have question, are the program within the talent development itself are already equal? Moving to the next one. So we're jumping into the next pillar, which includes the marketing, supply chain, and products. So this principle, stepping out from the workplace, we try to see how your business, especially most of the time, if your business is B2C, are marketing the products correctly in meaning of gender responsive, gender sensitive, trying to break the norms even. And at the same time, if you have products that are B2C, how these products as well are gender responsive, catering to the needs of both men and women specifically. And at the same time, we do also look at the supply chain, how your business are also giving a specific attention towards procuring from women-owned or women-led enterprises. That also comes into these principles. And we go into the last pillar, which includes the community and reporting. So the community, the easiest way we usually translate this to companies are community development or CSR. Anything you do in relation to working with community comes into this principle, how you try to translate CSR activities and commitment that develop programs that focuses for gender equality and women empowerment, promoting and recognizing women leaders in communities as well. So it focuses on how you lead with examples in the community. And the last principle would be measurement and reporting. This is quite straightforward and simple, but surprisingly, a lot of companies that we've seen often miss this. So this focuses on how companies need to have a time-bound, measurable gender equality target, and focusing as well how you can publicly showcase your progress and result in your either annual report, sustainability report, or website as well. You can report it there as well. So I think that's as principles. There are steps on how you can move forward with WEPs. I believe you have past consider because you have attended today's webinar. So we're jumping close into signing for those of you who haven't signed as companies. But I think what interests you more is these principles are great. How can we move forward? And for that, I would like to pass the time to Emma. Over to you, Emma.
Thank you so much, Yuma. Yeah, so we understand this is a lot of information to take in, but the good news here is that you do not have to do this all on your own. So Amy, if you pass it on to the next slide here. So we have hundreds of resources available to help you on your journey. This is from sort of toolkits to knowledge products. We have lots of best practices shared and templates, as well as thematic guidance and many more. And some of these resources are general and accessible to all, and some are accessible only to our signatories. But all of them are for free, and all of them are available at weps.org. So Amy, if we go on to the next slide, please. So today I will give you a quick overview of some of our available tools and resources that are specifically designed to help you and your companies on your journey with actionable and practical steps to advance gender equality across the workplace, marketplace, and community that Yuma's just walked us through. On to the next slide, please. So the first one here is what we call the WEPs Gender Gap Analysis Tool, also commonly known as the GAT, for those of us familiar with the WEPs. This is a 2 to 3 hour assessment that serves as a great way to establish your baseline. So it helps you find out which areas you do a very good job in and which ones might require a little bit more attention. And it consists of 18 multiple choice questions to measure the commitment, the implementation, the reporting, and the transparency on a vast array of gender equality metrics. So by the end of the analysis, you will receive an overall score and be placed in one of the 4 progress categories that you can see on the screen. So from beginner, improver, to achiever, and leader. And based on those, you also receive guidance on where and how to set concrete goals and targets and how to measure your progress over time. On to the next one, please, Amy. So the next step in this journey will be the WEPs Gender Action Plan module, which is available on the global mobile learning platform called iLearn. And this helps you move from commitment based on this baseline to more action on gender equality in your organization. So the module is a 60-minute self-guided map that leads you through how to develop a successful organization-wide gender action plan across your value chain. And it also teaches you how to conduct an inclusive process in doing this. Next one, please, Amy. Thank you. And this resource, the Transparency and Accountability Framework, complements this baseline as the GAT and also the action planning module by helping you track your results over time. So as Yuma said, this is an area that is often overlooked in companies, but is incredibly important when it comes to implementing gender responsive policies and strategies. So this more specifically provides companies with a holistic set of indicators that will help you advance gender equality across your corporate value chain. And it is aligned with existing corporate gender equality frameworks. So indicators are varied. So you can see on the slide a list of some of those indicators, some from baseline to essential, complementary, input and support measure indicators, as well as additional indicators. And to complement this research, we are soon launching the WEPs Transparency and Accountability Roadmap. So you can keep an eye out for that as well. And this will help to further embed these processes in your organization as well. So the next set of resources that I will talk about are available exclusively for our WEP signatories, and they give you a little bit more of a sense of the thematic resources that we have available. So the first one here is the Gender Responsive Procurement Assessment Tool. Which is a mouthful to say, but in short, it is 31 questions, which helps you assess the current state and the progress of your policies and practices when it comes to gender responsive procurement. So it's especially useful for companies that focus on gender equality in procurement mechanisms or work in supply chains, but it also we also encourage suppliers to take this because it helps expand the impact into the whole ecosystem as well. And finally, on our list of resources, is our gender responsive recruitment checklist. So it's quite self-explanatory, but this is a tool that helps companies check on the gender responsiveness of their entire recruitment process. So it helps you consider questions like if the vacancy announcement is gender sensitive and inclusive, if the shortlist of candidates is gender balanced, and if the interview committee is gender balanced, etc. So it's a great tool for any company recruiting. So I hope these, if we move on to the next slide, Amy, I hope these resources and sort of the overview of the of some of this has been useful and shows you a bit more about how you can work on implementing the different principles that Yuma introduced. But I will now briefly walk you through the process of becoming a WEPs signatory. So joining the WEPs is a relatively simple process. But you have to be eligible. So you are eligible if your company is a legally registered and for-profit company. So that means that we're accepting chambers of commerce, we accept business associations, cooperatives, industry associations, etc., as long as they are privately listed, or privately listed, no, that they're legally registered for profit, sorry, not only privately listed. However, we do not at this stage accept NGOs, NPOs, or governments, fortunately. But to apply, you can visit weps.org and download the CEO Statement of Support for the WEPs. It's available in a large array of languages, so hopefully you find one that suits you there. And you have to get this signed by the CEO or the person with the highest decision-making power in your organization. And then you go through and submit a quick online application, you answer a few questions, and you submit a quote and a headshot of the CEO or person with the highest decision-making power. And you and Women will then review your application, and once it's been approved, you'll receive a welcome package and access to the resources. That was all from me. Back to Yuma, who will be moderating the panel with 3 of our web signatories. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma. And that was a brief sharing a bit from our end. But because we're 3 minutes early from our schedule, let me invite you to take a breather and then sort of reflect again for a few of the points before I jump into the panel session. First thing first that I don't think we have mentioned it yet. Everything that was mentioned by me and Emma was free. Everything is free. The only payment that you need to do is the commitment from your end. That's it. And what's in it for you and Women? What's in it for our end is we have you as part of the champion who will be working together in advancing gender equality in businesses. So that's part of our end. So you've already heard about the principles, about the tools, about the resources, but I think it won't be complete if we don't listen directly from the web signatories, from the companies who are already making progress and already signed webs. And today, I've already been accompanied by 3 amazing speakers, which I would like to introduce first. I would like to introduce Arju Joshi. She is the Executive Assistant to the CEO and founding member of the ESG Council, F1Soft International from Nepal. Hi, Arju.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Great to have you today. Next, I would like to introduce Chowlan Molika, or more known as Molika. She's the Chief Executive Officer and founder of CSDS, Cambodian Standard Development and Supply. Hi, Molika.
Yeah, good afternoon, Joma, and very good afternoon to everyone. Yes, thank you for having me today.
Oh, thank you for coming. And last but not least, and I'm very happy to have a fellow male invitee today as a speaker. We have Ahmad Amirian Shahpabite, or more well known as Rian. He is the Senior Vice President of Human Capital at PT Wijaya Karya, or WIKA. Hi, Mas Rian.
Hi, Yuma. Hi, everyone. Very excited to be here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming today. I think a lot of hands have already been raised. I think everyone is tired of listening to me speaking, so I think it would be it would be the perfect moment to have all of you here. But before we jump into detail, I think the first thing that we would love to hear is if you can share a bit about your company and why did you sign WEPs? Why does gender equality matters to your company? I think we can start there first. I think I would like to invite Arju first to start.
Hi everyone, I'm Arju Doshi from F1 Soft International, and F1 Soft is a leading fintech company in Nepal, providing services in terms of digital wallets, digital remittance. So basically, we are building a fintech ecosystem in Nepal through the different services that we are offering. And why did we decide to join WEPs is initially when I joined the company, we had the leadership which were all male. And since it's a fintech industry, it is understandable and it is assumed that most of the people joining in are male. And in the context of Nepal, in the society itself, there are fewer women who are targeting to join this industry. So that is where I felt like there's a need to empower more women to join our industry in particular, not just our company, but the whole industry in particular. So that's where we thought, why not take the step that will help us to boost our goal of having more women in our team and making more women more empowered to have them in the leadership that we are aiming for. So that is the reason why we joined WEPs.
Interesting. Having in a male dominate being in a male dominated industry as specific as fintech as well, to have the commitment of improving the number of women in the industry is very wonderful to hear. Monica, I think a similar question to you. Could you please share a bit about F1 F1 Soft International, and what does the commitment where does the commitment comes from for your company?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm Molika. Yes, as your introduction, I'm the CEO and founder of my company, a Cambodian Standard Development and Supply. You can hear for the name of that. You can understand that we are working in like development and supply for all of that. We work very close to the 32 agriculture cooperatives in me that we work directly with the smallholder farmer, more than 5,000. Almost 60 to 62% of them are female. And then we collect for all their product to sell into the HoReCa, hotel, restaurant, catering, and the agriculture, agro processing, wet market. And our mission is we want to build a sustainable and inclusive agriculture value chain. So that's why we very embed the strategy of the gender equality into our core business, because it is like the feature of the company is in agriculture business, really need to have a good framework to support both sides between our internal control and also our supplier, who are most likely like female and in the small holder farmer, yes, in a remote area. So we interesting that we joined for the women empowerment principle, because we want to learn more how to embed and adapt into the HR policy, that we can keep retention, and also how can we improve the livelihood to our supplier as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Molika, and apologies for wrongly mentioning CSDS as F1 Soft International. My excuse is I'm fasting. I don't know if that's a good excuse or not. So sometimes I'll lose focus.
Okay.
Apologies.
Yeah.
But amazing to hear. We have two completely different industry. The first one was fintech, and now coming into agriculture, where you try to focus on retention, but also improving the livelihood of the women themselves as well. Moving next, I would like to invite Mas Rian.
Yeah.
Maybe I think I would like to jump to two questions at the same time, because I'm also aware you have some slides that you want to show. So maybe Amy, you can help after this. We're wondering first, as well, similar to other panelists, we would love to hear more about your company and the commitment towards gender equality. But then how did you translate it as well into action?
Okay, thank you, Yuma. And also, I'm fasting also, so if I don't have the concentration, but I'll do my best. So, Wijaya Karya is one of the leading EPC and green construction company operating in infrastructure, energy, and industrial projects, and that's a sectors that remains predominantly male-dominated industry. And currently, women represent on approximately only 15% of our workforce. That demographic really shapes how we approach gender equality, not as a symbolic commitment, but as a structural and strategic priority embedded within our ESG and framework aligned with the SDG number 5. And if you ask why WICA signed up with the WEPs Corporate Action Lab, because in a male-dominated industry like construction, inclusion does not evolve naturally, I think. So it must be measured, it must be designed, and it must be governed. And what advantage that we have from the web scale, I said, first we have the clarity. It objectively identified where we are strong. Like we know that the majority of our employees within their active reproductive age, and also the nature of our business requires deployment to remote or project-based locations. So it gives us clarity, and the second, it gives us also accountability. Since there's a gap assessment, without assessment, inclusion remains narrative. With measurable scoring, it becomes governance, I think. And the third is we have direction through an action plan. The assessment not are the end goal. The action plan translate insight into structured initiative with clear ownership and measurable progress. So currently, our web score is 67%, placing WICA at the achiever level. And however, for us, the score is not the destination, and it baseline the discipline improvement. So yeah, we commit strongly because sustainable business performance requires also sustainable people and systems. Maybe that's for my answer first. Yes.
Thank you, Masrin. I think there's also the slide on GAT score that we can show, but we can show it later. It's amazing to hear. We have now two, I would say, male-dominated industry with Masrian from construction and then Arju from fintech ecosystem. And directly connecting, Masrian, you mentioned directly connecting in with the priority of the companies, having a clear objective, identifying the strength and weaknesses, not only through GAT as well, but also through other tools and means that can help justify the efforts that you're doing through your company. I think it's really interesting to hear. I think we've already heard about why you started to move into the issue, to dive into the issue. But next, I think it would be interesting to hear then what did you do in terms of the implementation. Masrian, maybe I'll start from Masrian now. If you could share a bit, what did you do at WICA in implementing WEPs and improving, not only, again, you mentioned not only about the score, but also the concrete and measurable changes within your company.
Thank you, Sima. So after the course we have with the UN Women, so we try to get the internal buy-in first from the top and also from the bottom. From the top is our board of directors, very supports our family-friendly workplace framework, recognizing that workforce demographic, as I mentioned before, particularly employees in the productive age, that directly affect the productivity and also the talent retention. And also from the bottom, we spoke to the labor union about the family-friendly workplace framework, and also we also have the support from the bottom. So the two components are already approved about our next step, and in traditional construction culture, caregiving is often perceived primarily as women's responsibility. However, if policies only strengthen the maternity leave, imbalance persists. So, yeah, for the male-dominated industry, we propose the paternity leave was as an introduced based on three considerations. First is the shared responsibility. Supporting fathers encourage balanced caregiving, enabling women to return to work with stronger support system. And the second, productivity and engagement. When fathers are structurally supported during the critical family moments, stress is reduced and long-term engagement improves. And the three is the cultural signal. It communicates that parenting is not a gender issue. It is a shared human responsibility. Yeah, maybe that's I can share for what we do. Yeah. So now, even we speak about the gender equality, but I think for the male-dominated industry, we also have to concern about the male part of the family-friendly workplace, and we have like in the slides we already have the daycare and the maternity leave optimization, and also optimization of paternity leave. So the main interesting point is the third, like for the optimization on paternity leave. Maybe that's it.
Thank you, Masri. And it's really interesting to see here on the slides that there are modules as well accompanying the said leaves. I think you've collaborated with local partners as well in developing the modules, correct?
Yeah, correct. So before the father take the leave for the paternity, they have to finish the module first and get certificate, so they can give help for the mother to be at home.
Thank you. And this is really exciting to hear, because a lot of companies doesn't even get to start from that discussion. They start from, why do we even need the paternity leave? The one who's laboring is the mother. So why do? So a lot of companies are questioning, especially senior level as well at companies. But having a male-dominated industry with only 50% of women focusing on how they can bring social norm change within WICA, I think it's really exciting and enlightening to hear. And I think after this, I think a lot of companies will be reaching out to you to ask how the modules look like. And it's interesting to hear more. But thank you very much, Masrian, for sharing. I'll jump next to Molika. I would like to invite you to share at CSDS, correct now, CSDS?
Yeah.
What have you been implementing since the signing of WEPs?
Yes. Actually, I'm joining one of the project that's launching in Cambodia. It's called Corporate Action Lab. It is the first cohort in Cambodia. So that's why I also recommend to join with the Women Empowerment Principle for the register web. Yes. Inside the cohort that we learn, I get a lot of support that we first start with the pilot test inside our company first. That right now we have a challenge that many of our middle manager, they are not, I mean that mostly it's men, but not much more dominant. It's like why this company is the women led, but we still have a middle manager that most likely is for all male. And then what we are trying to adapt it like to let the female inside our company, they have the same quality of capacity building, flexibility that they can join the event, and most likely helping them for the public speaking or the sharing the idea to support inside the decision making level of decision that they can show the performance inside the company. And otherwise, we will get this pilot test finished within the first cohort, and then we will try to adapt into our supplier. Because when we talk about agriculture, we talk about the whole value chain or supply chain system from the upstream until the downstream. So our company, it operates at field. So when we're working at field, we have to make sure that our female employee are safe, no harassment, and also supporting them during their field work, that they have to work in the remote area or inside the agricultural field. So that part also important for our company to have the write down all the policy that within the accommodation, traveling, everything, we have to be make sure that they are secure during their work. And then within our supply chain in the collecting center or the we call like distribution channel that we collect for all the product and we distribute to the customer. We also try to have more employee that female inside that to invest into our recruitment. Yeah, it's like a sensitive area for the warehouse. Many of the female they not apply. So we show for all our policy to protect them inside our warehouse management system, and also we have a delivery man, a lot of logistic area that it's like what we call it delivery man, no delivery woman. So that part we try to use for all the vehicle like renewable energy that easy for female to adopt for driving license, and we share that the recruitment are fair quality. We fair I mean that is not just only for the man, that support for all the logistics. Yes. And then another part for the customer side, we also adopt the full function for our telecommunication team, that customer care center team are female, that they can work softly and directly with the customer inside the operation. So all of these is like we start to implement inside our place, and then we try to scaling up into the outside external when we are success inside the cohort one of the corporate activity lab. Yes, action lab. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monica. I think it's really intriguing to hear that you've already touched upon the fifth principle of WEPs, which includes the supply chain. It's really interesting because in my few years of working with UN Women, we've always had challenge in reaching to that stage. A lot of companies starts with principle 1 to 4. 5 we do find it sometimes, but it's really intriguing to hear that CSDS is focusing on that. But at the same time, you're also focusing on how to involve more women and having more women into that said middle manager position, making sure that the safety and the security of the workers there and across the supply chain, and all the way of bringing that message back to the community and having them back. So it's a whole supply chain that you mentioned. That's really amazing to hear. So we've already heard from the pillar of workplace and then now from supply chain as well. Thank you, Monica. Next, I would like to move to Arju. We would love to hear what F1 Soft International have already been working on WEPs implementation.
So talking about F1 Soft, we are just a beginner, I must say. And we have taken few steps, and we are also trying to take bigger steps to implement the WEPs in our company. So what we've done is previously, if you had observed our company's website, the website was full of photos of all male leadership team. And now this has changed, and we have few women leaders, and this has been possible with the capacity building workshops that we have designed for women so that they can come up in the leadership position. So this is one of the steps that we have taken and implementing WEPs in our company. And the other one is we are exploring how we can have women-based businesses for corporate gifting that we use. All the merchandises that we are using at the moment, we are trying to replace it with the women-based businesses merchandises. So that's the second thing that we are exploring. And we're also conducting different digital literacy programs to empower women through one of the vertical companies, that is PhonePe. They have a business academy which organizes digital literacy programs for women so that they are empowered to use the digital financial channels that we facilitate, and we want to have more women using the digital financial services. So these are some of the steps that we have taken, and also we are positive on hiring women and marginalized group and people with disability in our company, so that we can have an inclusive workforce in our company. So these are the few things that we have started and we are trying to implement in our company, and there are more to go.
Thank you, Arju. And I can say that Amy and Emma will agree with me. That does not sound like a beginner level of WEPs implementation at all. That's actually quite amazing, and I would say it's sort of similar in principle 5 pocket. If we going back to WEPs and how you first even start with the marketing and branding of your company from your website, internally in the workplace, you focus on. In relation to that as well, and that's amazing. In relation to that, you focus on improving the capacity of women within the company, so you have more women leaders that can pop up publicly as well. And at the same time, you even went into the detail of principle 5 of procuring from women-owned businesses, including the digital literacy for women, which jump into principle 6 as well. So I would say you already did almost more than half of WEP's principle. So that does not definitely sound like a beginner. So thank you very much, Arju. I know time is quite tight. Amy, I think it's time for us to open for Q&A, correct?
I think we can, yeah. If people would
Yeah.
like to use the Q&A function or the chat, I think we can take even up to 10 more minutes for Q&A. So if we don't have any questions, our speakers can add more input, but you can always use the Q&A function. Emma messaged in there. We're not able to, I think, have participants speak, but if you want to type in the question, we can try and answer it.
Yeah. Thank you. So thank you, Amy. So colleagues, if you have any questions, you can jump into the Q&A column. I see a lot of hand raised earlier. So if you're trying to figure out how to do things, end up raising your hands, it's fine. We'll try to figure out how to do the Q&A. It's technology, a lot of platforms. Everyone is confused with everything. So I'm confused with everything. Plus, I'm fasting again. So it's the reminder. So while we're waiting for the questions from the audiences, I think I would like to jump in a bit more for Arju first. We've already mentioned the amazing part of your work and the commitment from your leaders. And Rian already shared this for Wika, but how was the buy-in that you tried to get from the senior leaders? And especially you said it is a lot of male working in a male-dominated industry. How did you get the buy-in as well?
So for us, what we did is we became a member of UN Global Compact, and they made us aware about the peer learning groups organized by UN Women. And when we joined the 6 months course, we became aware about the UN Women principles, WEPs principles, and this. And what I did is I made sure that I communicate all those learnings to my people and culture department. And since we have around 14-15 companies within our group, and we have a centralized people and culture department, this made me easy, so that from a viewpoint that I could communicate with them, and they could be a channel for me to ensure that this is communicated throughout. And all the use cases and the stories that we learned during the peer learning group session and the impact that we heard from the peer learning session did help me to generate a buy-in from my company through the people and culture department, the centralized one that we have. And also, since our leadership, despite having a large number of male members, it is open door. So it was easier for me to communicate with them as well, and they get their buy-ins. And during that time as well, we were starting with our ESG journey, and joining WEPs was a perfect match for us. And that's how I was able to get the buy-in for my company.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Arju. That's really exciting to hear. I noticed there's already questions in the chat, correct? Let me 1 second. Someone said the Q&A column is not working. We apologize. Colleagues, please use the chat. Technical difficulty is always there when we do online activities. There's first question from Moira. He said, hello, good day. How do your respective countries address sexual harassment cases in workplace? I think this would be interesting to start from Wika. I know you've shared specifically towards family-friendly workplace-related issue, but since you come as the senior vice president of human capital as well, it's interesting to hear how do you actually address issue of sexual harassment in your company?
Okay, thank you, Yuma, and thank you for the question, Moira. Besides our employee well-being policy, we also have the respectful workplace policy in Wika. So we address these issues very serious, and they can report about any harassment case if they are the victims, or even though they only see there's as a witness, yeah. They can report in a very secure line to our directors and also the committee of we said that in Majelis Kehormatan Pegawai, but how do you say it in English? Yeah. Yeah, the committee is special to address the harassment and the harassment. So respectful workplace policy has three aspects: harassment, kekerasan. Ya, kekerasan means like violence, and also bullying. Yeah, yeah. The third part of the respectful workplace policy.
Thank you, Mas Rian. I think it's interesting. So to have the policy level first as part of the respectful workplace policy, you also have the committee that addresses, and the most important thing, to have the different part of channel that this a survivor can use as well. Thank you. Arju or Molika, do you have anything to add on that in relation to addressing sexual harassment cases?
So
No,
in
Arju.
in our company, we have a grievance mechanism, and also we have a whistleblower policy, and we have a committee of members who have been reviewing the concerns that have been raised every now and then. So I think that is one of the good practices that we have, and that is not since this is limited to our company. Right now, we are also exploring how we can make this more inclusive and how we can share if there are any instances of our vendors or any other our partners experiencing that when having business with us. So that is one exploration that is going on. For internal purposes, we have a whistleblower policy that is active enough.
Thank you very much. So specific grievance mechanism is there as well to address the issue. Molika, do you want to add on this?
Yes, inside our company, we also have embed this policy in the HR policy and inside our HR handbook as well. Yep. Because of our company, most likely we work with the low education, especially like workers. So this one is very important for us to protect. And as I mentioned that the whole supply chain for us, some part that the female that she have to work at field very facing for all the challenge during that. So we have to stem this one, and most likely we do the refreshment to make sure that everyone understanding for all the harassment and also the violence inside our company. We have experience. We have been have violence because of the worker in the warehouse. They always sometimes they drink and then after the drinking is have causing the trouble. So this one is very important that we embed, and inside our warehouse we also with no smoke because of it is will become like dangerous for our fire, yes, as well. So
yeah.
Three of that is like harassment, also violence, and also smoke, and also drink is very forbidden inside our supply chain management right now. Yes.
Interesting. And I think this correlates directly with what you've mentioned before on creating a more secure and safe workplace so that more women can participate in your, not only your company specifically, but also your supply chain, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Malika. And there's so many chat, but I saw one interesting question from I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Diluni Danushka. Is there a globally accepted or recommended men to women ratio in an organization, or is it purely the organization's leadership decision? I think specifically cases, it would be interesting to hear from Arju and Rian in relation to one, are there any recommended when men to women ratio in your organization that you're targeting? Or is it purely from your company's leadership decision, or are there any other government agency that are involved in this? Maybe Mas Rian first.
Okay, thank you. So for the ratio, we have the KPIs, the key performance indicators from the state-owned enterprise regulatory to have minimum 15% women in the top management, Yeah, but for the construction company, because it's very male dominated, the target become lower to 10%. But for other state-owned enterprise, they set minimum 15% ratio of the top management, the board of directors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mas Rian. Interesting to hear. And for Arju, Rian already mentioned specifically in Indonesia, in his case, for state-owned enterprise, it's specifically focused on leadership level for the ratio. But for fintech in your country, or specifically for your company, do you have the sort of similar target, be it leadership or in general?
So as per our government, for equal participation of women, we need to have at least 33% to ensure that we have a diversity. But in our company, the ratio varies as we have different verticals. Some companies have exceeded that ratio as well, and we have not decided on a particular ratio that we want to move forward with. We are still exploring that, but some of them are more than 35%, which complies with the government standards as well, and some are still in the phase of reaching that status as well. So it varies as per the different companies that we have in our group of companies.
Interesting. Maybe I would like to invite Molika as well, because then this would be completely different perspective with a more women-dominated company. How does it look like in Cambodia and in your company?
Oh, actually, we don't have a compliant or the labor law that showcase that how many percentage women in your organization. But based on the employee handbook, they say that we have to provide a fair opportunity inside our company, since the hire until coaching, retention, probation, everything we have to place the same, like bonus, incentive, yes. And then we embed for the whole of labor law inside our company, like we provide for the maternity leave for 3 months of they still have the same salary, and then we also have the patient leave for the husband as well, and we embed everything that the same of the labor law in Cambodia. But I think I'm not quite sure, but in Cambodia we not yet have the state-owned enterprise yet inside our Ministry of Commerce. So we have the social enterprise that everyone have to have a half profit and also half donation or contribution to the social work. So inside that, they also talk about the gender equality, both equality between the man and female in terms of their job opportunity, building capacity, and also the extra benefit that they have to get the same side. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Molika. Amy, do we have time for one more, or is it not?
I think I would, Yuma knows how much I love sharing. I would like to keep us on for another hour,
Okay.
but I think in the interest of time,
Yeah.
we will move on to the very last section.
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
want to say, yes, thank you so much to Yuma also for moderating and our speakers, and especially Yuma and Rian who are fasting today and all others joining us.
That's okay.
Who are fasting. It's really, really great to hear from all of you. I'm going to go ahead and share screen again and just share one final point before we stop today. And again, you can always send us an email at we.asiapacific. If you have any questions, we will share it in the follow-up email when we share the slides and the presentation, and any questions you have, you can email us. Also, I just also wanted to share two other quick things for everyone joining us. One of our signature regional initiatives that we run is the WEPs Awards, where we recognize best practices for gender equality from WEP signatories across the region. And you don't have to be a WEP signatory to apply. You do need to be a WEPs eligible entity, so private sector. But if you're not a WEP signatory and you're just learning about it today, you can still apply. We'll be sharing more information in the coming weeks, and we will launch in early April. But we can add all of you to our mailing list. And before everybody hops off, I'm going to share one final feedback poll. I know some of you may have other meetings to get to. But if you can, we have just a few questions for all of you to ask how you felt about the session today. Also, if you want to be included in our mailing list for the WEPs Awards. Also, if there's other areas of the WEPs that you want to learn about. And if you have any other feedback to know, I've noted down some really great questions and suggestions for maybe future webinars we can hold. We have lots of great other practices we can share from the region, and we're happy to share the knowledge and resources that we have with all of you. But if you can answer those few questions before we close for today, that would be fabulous. And otherwise, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.